Alright everybody, this is Chris with Overclockersclub. I'm back with a cool little camera here from YoLuke. Like, YoLuke, I am your father. Yeah, that was pretty horrible. Alright, let's get this out of the box, see what it looks like. Now the camera I have is a 5 megapixel version, but there is a 2 and a 3 megapixel version, and the pricing varies a little bit. So right now the 5 megapixel shows $135, and the 2 megapixel is $109, and the 3 megapixel is $119. So that's the range between the three. But they all have the 4-time optical zoom. And opening the box, there is a quick operation guide, quick start guide, all the information you need. These things usually involve getting an app on your phone as one of the first steps. A little baby CD there. I'll have to see what's on there. Usually this has stuff for getting a PC app on your PC. Ethernet cable. Power adapter that's rated at 12 volts, 1.3 amps. And of course, some hardware there. This is for if you connect an Ethernet cable and you're outside, this sort of seals it so you don't get water in your Ethernet connection. Here is the actual camera. Some mounting screws and the antenna. But there is the camera. You can peel off the protective plastic. And the cables that are connected to the camera. Of course, there's the Ethernet cable. And this cable here is like for audio out. It's a remote audio output. There's a little reset button right there, and it has a little weatherproof cap that you can snap down over it. And then there is the power. So this cable here is where your adapter plugs in to supply power to the camera. This is not a PoE or power over Ethernet camera. Just so you know. Now the way this installs, I call this the bottom of the camera. It's actually the top. Your ceiling is where you mount this black bracket, and then you bring the camera up to it and twist it. I already loosened these screws up so you can see how this bracket spins around, so you get it lined up with those holes. The whole bracket here pops off. You gotta get those all lined up. Anyway, this bracket pops off, you mount it to the ceiling, line those holes up, and then you twist the camera and it locks to the bracket. And there's enough of a standoff here so that you don't crush the cable, so the cable there will fit in that space. And then this, of course, is where your antenna attaches. And the way pretty much every one of these cameras that I've ever looked at works, the way you get them fired up. In this particular manual, there's a QR code, a giant QR code. So you scan that into your phone. That will take you to where you download the phone app. Once you install the phone app on your phone, usually there's another QR code on the side of the camera. You scan that in. That has all the connectivity information. Put in your local Wi-Fi password after you select your local Wi-Fi, and you're up and running. All right, so it's like I said, you download the app for your Android or Apple smartphone, and it asks you a couple of questions. You have to tie into your Wi-Fi. It does recommend using the Ethernet cable when you get started, so you'll plug the Ethernet cable in and then plug the other end into your router. But you can set it up purely wireless if you need to. And it is only good on 2.4 gigahertz wireless. It does not work on 5 gigahertz. So make sure you know your wireless name and your password, because you'll need that to connect. And then once you get it connected, there's a whole series of settings on the phone app. You can poke around and experiment with those and see which ones work best for you. Now if you want to gain access to the camera itself, this dome here unscrews, so this top part separates from the bottom, so you just have to carefully twist, and then this unthreads. Now this piece here is threaded, And there is a little rubber seal right along the bottom rim here. That is what helps keep the moisture out when you tighten the dome back down. And then the dome uses a very large snap ring there, and there's another seal for the actual plastic dome. That way water that gets along this area here won't get into the dome and fog it up, especially when the weather and temperatures change. So anyway, here's the inside of the camera. You can see there's a motor for one axis there, there's a motor for the other axis here, and you can see the circuit board. And then looking a little closer at the front of the camera, you can see there are the infrared LEDs up there for your night vision. And of course you have your daylight sensor to detect when the infrared LEDs need to become active. And that's really about all there is to see there, other than all the circuitry. Now I unscrewed the dome and I'm going to put a little SD card in there. It can go up to 128 gigabyte and it does not come with one. You have to supply your own. But there's a little slot back here, and that's where the card goes in. And like I said, this is a 16 gigabyte card here. So you put it in the little slot like that, and then push down till you hear a little click, and now I'm ready to power the camera up. When it is dark and the night vision is activated, these two little infrared LEDs right here kick on. So I'll stick my big ugly hand in front of the camera for a moment, block out the light, and those LEDs should come on, and there they are, and then they go off. It's a little more of a red color when you see it in person. My recording camera here sort of washes it out a little bit, but you get the idea. So just for testing, I went ahead and mounted the base to this piece of aluminum. It's just a temporary way to mount the camera, and I am running out of daylight. This is the CamHi Pro app for your smartphone. It's available for iPhone and Androids. This phone here, of course, is an Android. But you got to remember, these apps are written for a variety of cameras, so they sort of cover more than one. So you will see features on this app that the camera may not have. That's because some of their other cameras might have them. So anyway, this is the screen you see when you first get into it. So over here, this little symbol, this is to look at the videos that are stored on the SD card, so you can scroll through those, play them back. The next one here is folders, where videos that you download are stored, and then you can transfer them off your phone. So right now I just have one picture and no videos on this phone. And the little gear here is for the camera settings. And there are a lot of settings here, and again, not all of them apply to this particular camera. And probably the most important one here really is your alarm management. So you can turn the push off or on, so you'll get notifications on the phone when there's a motion event. You can turn the motion detection off or on. You can adjust the sensitivity so it doesn't go off all the time if there are like leaves blowing around, things like that. Audible Alarm. Oops. This setting here, there's a microphone on the camera, and when there's a loud noise, and you can adjust the sensitivity here, it will start recording. So if somebody slams a door, if there's a gunshot or any other kind of loud noise, and again you can adjust the sensitivity, you can trigger it to start recording. Humanoid alarm, that's basically looking for anything that sort of looks like a human, and it will start recording. There are some other things here like siren. This camera doesn't have a siren, so this setting really doesn't apply to it. See, there's a sound that went off outside right now, and I'm getting the notification. And then let's see. You can do FTP recording if you have like an NVR and you want to send it to that. So usually when you turn that on, you have to configure the FTP and set that up. But I'm not going to do any FTP recording. So that's probably the most important group of settings. Audio settings, that's the sensitivity of the microphone. And your SD card, you can format it. You can do plan recording if you want to record all the time, or you can set up a schedule. And then here's where you change the time on the camera. And then finally, video settings here. This is where you can adjust the resolution and frame rate. So now I'll go ahead and attach some clips so you can see the video quality. And another thing, when you're in the alarm management notifications, down here under adjust motion detection, this is where you can select an area like that. The blue box there, you can sort of define the area that you want to be active for motion detection. And you can do all areas, you can do left area or right, and then you can also adjust the sensitivity so that you don't get a lot of false alarms. The camera is live. I flipped the image over there since it's sitting sort of upside down on the workbench, although that sort of looks right side up. Anyway, the camera's live, and this is the PC client here. The software comes on the little disk, or you can go to the YoLuke website and download it. But it's pretty much like any other PC client I've used. As soon as you fire it up, you can easily find the camera, and you can change all the camera configurations. Double click on the main window there and it just expands it. But it's decent software. I didn't have any problems with it.
And this is what the image looks like. I do have a floodlight on, but this is when it's in color mode. So this is what the night vision looks like. It's dark out. The yellow box around me is because I have the human detection turned on. But you can see what the image quality looks like.
So this little dome camera from YoLuke is a pretty nice little camera. It comes in around $130. That's for the 5 megapixel version. Remember, there are 3 flavors. There's a 2 megapixel, 3 megapixel, and the 5 megapixel. Performance, I didn't have any problems. It really is plug and play. You plug it in, download the phone app, and you're up and running in no time. PC app here, there I am, is really nice too. I had no problems with it. I always say this though, with wired devices or Wi-Fi devices, your quality and the performance is really dependent on the quality of your Wi-Fi network. So if you have an older Wi-Fi network or an older home network, it might be time to upgrade before you go putting a lot of money into cameras and other devices. Just something to think about. So again, for $130, I think this is a pretty decent camera. So I'm going to give this the Overclockers Club Gold Award. Again, a decent camera from YoLuke. Check out the website for some of their other cameras and other products. So this is Chris with Overclockers Club. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe somewhere up here. Click the button.